So this video is for people that want to or have been told they need to solve a quadratic. If you take a look at the top question where the pineapple is, you'll see a typical quadratic. It's currently not in solvable form, like it's not the typical way that we would have it. If you're given this and you're told to solve it, your first step would be to put it equal to 0. So the first one is your basic. This is very common, like actually even with the other ones, it's very common for people to try and rearrange it at this point. But what you've got to notice is that quadratic begs for 2 solutions. And if you try and rearrange this and cancel, try it in your own time, you miss out one of the solutions. So this is how you ought to do it. We appreciate that first thing is to factorize this quadratic. It's a common term of x. So we take x out, and then we subtract 5 equals 0. What we're asking ourselves here is, well, 2 things multiplied together. That's the x here multiplied by this x minus 5 in bracket. And if either one of these were 0, then we would have a solution that we wanted, i.e. the whole thing equal to 0, the right-hand side. And so we can write that as 2 separate equations. We could say, okay, when x equals 0, that's this one right here, that would give us a solution. Or when x minus 5 was equal to 0, that would give us a solution. And if we just add 5 to both sides, we'll see that we get x equals 5. So underline the 2 solutions to make it look clear. And you should be getting 2 solutions to every quadratic. So the number one thing to do when solving quadratics is always check for this form, but in general factorize. That's how you get all of your solutions. Okay, so the next one can't do the same thing, but we're going to use a method that we did before. We're going to put it into double brackets. And we're thinking of factors of 4, so I'm going to go with 4 and 1. And to get to 5, we'll add both of them. And remembering here, importantly, that this is equal to 0. This is an equivalent expression to the original question. Instead, we have brackets. And these brackets are really useful because they're being multiplied together. And that means that if either one of them was 0, then we have a solution because we want the whole thing equal to 0. So what would the value of x be if x plus 4 was equal to 0? We'd subtract 4 from both sides and we get negative 4. That's our first solution. And on the right hand side, what would the value of x be if x plus 1, as in the whole bracket, was equal to 0? We subtract 1 from both sides and we get negative 1. Of course, nobody likes negative numbers. Sometimes that's just what it is. Next one. Okay, what's different here? I guess it's just another example, but we don't always have to use x. I know x is something that, just for the fun of it, let's change up colors as well for the new letter. Don't always have to use pink. So actually, I'm assuming this factorizes nicely, but I should have a quick think. Factors of 18, yeah, 9 and 1, I think would be okay. So we're going to have 9 and, not 9 and 1, 9 and 2. And to get to 11, add them both. And some people can start to see a pattern here. And instead of writing out the equation like we did here, you could just go straight in and say, well, what happened to the numbers in those brackets? They changed sign, but they'd remained the same magnitude. So you could say here that a is equal to negative 9, or a is equal to negative 2. See, same magnitude, different sign. We'll just underline those, and that's a quick way of getting around it. I think the problem with doing it that quick way comes with the next example. So with this example, we want to put these into brackets. So we've got 2 times the 3. We'll do the method that we had in the other YouTube video. That was 2 times 3, which is 6. And then with factors of 6, that will get us to 5. I think 2 and 3 work really well. So we'll rewrite the 2x squared. We'll rewrite the 5x part as 2x and 3x. So we'll put the 2x with the 2 and the 3x with the 3. I think that makes sense, because if you've seen the other video, you know what's coming. We're going to factorize here. So I'm going to take out a 2x, and we're left with an x plus 1. And we're going to take out 3, and we're left with an x plus 1. Good times. If you've seen the other video, you know what I mean. And we've factorized. So we've got the 2x plus the 3, and the x plus the 1. A lot of people get very confused when it comes to writing the solution. It's easy enough for the second bracket. Let's focus on the second bracket for start. You can see that x would equal -1, because we just change the sign and keep the same magnitude. But then, the 2x plus 3 looks different, right? And this is a good case for when you might want to write the equation out again. So when does 2x plus 3 equal 0? And if you rearrange, you take away 3. Not to do too much in my head, but you could do all of this rearranging in your head when you get good at rearranging equations. And then we divide by 2. And to get -3/2 there is the second solution for the quadratic. So just move down there because the line isn't drawing. And you would say, if you're unsure about this, you would say you've got -1 or x equals -3/2, because both of those would work. So you see you've got that concern there with the bracket. You could probably do it in your head. You could imagine moving the 3 over and then dividing by 2. But this is what we're learning here, is that this factorized form is still equal to 0. And the power of it being factorized is either one of those being 0 gives us a solution.